The Fra Mauro mappaemundi, cartography as cosmic prophecy. A world drawn in sacred circles. Fra Mauro's world map is a grand circle over 2 meters across, drawn on fine vellum and richly painted in blues, greens, reds, and golds. It depicts the entire known world of the mid-15th century with astonishing detail and care. Strikingly, south is placed at the top, orienting the map upside down to modern eyes. In this inverted design, one immediately senses a symbolic statement: the world turned on its head, or perhaps righted, aligning earthly geography with heavenly order. Fra Mauro provided no simple explanation for this south-up orientation, but contemporary sources suggest a cosmological logic. In Christian thought, the peak of heaven was in the south, where the earthly paradise was imagined in the southern hemisphere, and in Islamic mapmaking, a southern meridian honored the zenith of the sun. Thus, the map's orientation itself is a sacred geometry, situating Africa and the Indian Ocean at the top, literally at the head of the world, and Europe at the lower right, quietly reminding viewers that truth may require an uncommon perspective. The Fra Mauro map, a circular planisphere oriented with south at the top. The map's densely illustrated continents are encircled by text and cosmographic diagrams. Note the multitude of tiny Latin and Venetian inscriptions crowding Asia, Africa, and Europe, each a fragment of knowledge or legend gathered by the monk cartographer. In the corners, Fra Mauro included mystical insets, now lost on this reproduction, depicting the Ptolemaic cosmos, the 4 elements, the earthly paradise, and the earth as a globe, reflecting the map's bridging of medieval faith and emerging scientific insight. Encircling the round map are 4 auxiliary diagrams, each a world unto itself. In one corner, historically the upper left, sits a Ptolemaic cosmology, concentric spheres of the geocentric universe. Here the earth is cradled by nested heavens, the spheres of water, air, fire, and the planetary orbits, up to the starry firmament and the prima mobile. Medieval scholars spoke of a crystalline heaven, an invisible sphere of perfect clarity, and indeed Fra Mauro's cosmic diagram evokes those transparent, ordered layers of creation. Opposite this, a second diagram illustrates the 4 elements, earth, water, fire, air, in harmonious sequence, suggesting that the world depicted in the map is not mere land and sea but part of a universal elemental balance. In the lower right corner, Fra Mauro daringly shows Earth as a round globe, marking the poles, equator, and tropics, a visionary inclusion for a time when many still conceived of flat plains. And in the lower left, set apart from the main circle, is an image of the Garden of Eden. Significantly, Fra Mauro exiled Eden from the mapped world. It floats outside the known continents rather than in the Far East, where tradition had long placed. This radical decision to relegate paradise to a sidebox, not shown in a real geographic location, speaks volumes. It is as if Fra Mauro acknowledged that the divine realm is not to be found on any earthly coordinate. The inclusion of Eden at all affirms that sacred history remains important, but its removal from the earthly sphere is a statement of intellectual honesty, a concession that paradise, like heaven, lies beyond moral maps. In this structural choice we sense Fra Mauro's profound insight. The spiritual is real, but it is not of this physical world. Legends inscribed, memory of the world across the face of the map run more than 3,000 inscriptions, in Latin and Venetian Italian, each carefully lettered by hand. These tiny texts are the voices of the world as Fra Mauro knew it, a chorus of ancient authorities, travelers' tales, biblical lore, and first-hand reports. They sprawl across mountain ranges and along rivers, fill the margins of oceans, and coil around illustrated cities. Taken together, these notes form a rich annotated narrative of the 15th century worldview.
At every line, we know what Fra Mauro knew, where he got his information, writes one modern scholar. The map is as much a book as an image, a library of legends on one sheet of parchment. What do these inscriptions tell us? Many preserve classical and biblical traditions, echoes of an older understanding of the world. For example, near the map's top, geographic south, we find a note about the 4 rivers of Eden. Fra Mauro identifies the sacred Pishon, with the Ganges River, following the medieval Christian idea that one of Eden's rivers flowed into India. The Latin inscription might cite Genesis. The name of the first river is Phison, that is it which compasseth the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold. By mapping the Ganges as a river of paradise, Fra Mauro symbolically links his contemporary geography to the Garden of Eden narrative, suggesting that traces of Eden's design still course through the real earth. Elsewhere in Asia, a legend near Cathay, China, recounts Marco Polo's tales of the Great Khan's annual hunt, and another in Burma references the ancient kingdom of Mien, Ava, from Polo's reports. Such notes show Fra Mauro acting as a curator of knowledge, merging Marco Polo's travelogues, classical geography, and even local folklore into a single tapestry. Other inscriptions record the marvels and myths that spiced medieval travel literature. In farthest Scythia, Fra Mauro writes of mountains infested by dragons, whose foreheads contain jewels that can cure illnesses. He relates how the locals smoke the dragons out of their lairs, an image that sparks the imagination. Plumes of incense wafting through dark peaks to draw out these hoary beasts. In Afghanistan, near the city of Herat, he notes the rumor of dragons so huge that precious stones form within their skulls, a detail likely drawn from the Alexandrian romances or Persian legends. Across the Indian Ocean, he labels one mysterious isle, Isola de Dragoni, the Island of Dragons, an imaginary land which earlier writers like Marco Polo or Saint Brendan dreamed on the edges of the map, a detail likely drawn from the Alexandrian romances or Persian legends. Across the Indian Ocean, he labels one mysterious isle, Isola de Dragoni, the Island of Dragons, an imaginary land which earlier writers like Marco Polo or Saint Brendan dreamed on the edges of the map. Thanks for watching, like and sub.